If you're watching this screencast, that means you finished everything else up that you needed to do today, and you're going to do some notes previewing an activity we're going to work on for tomorrow. So you're going to head this page for your next blank page of notes as transitions. And this funny meme, I think it's from Gladiator or the 300, I can't remember. Use transition words to link paragraphs and sentences, or else. So, what are transitions? We've talked about this throughout the writing of our first essay and a little bit with sentence analysis. But transitions are words, phrases, or clauses that connect ideas together. You can pause the screencast. I'm going to go on, but you pause the screencast and copy down the notes, and when you're ready to go on, you can unpause. What do transitions do? Transitions show when or where or how something is happening. And we find them at the beginnings of sentences and paragraphs. Usually they're followed by a comma. You can hear when you need the comma and when you don't, although that's not a very good rule to tell you when to use a comma. So we're going to look at some examples. But we look at the beginnings of sentences and we look at the beginnings of paragraphs when we're introducing new pieces of evidence, when we're introducing new times, new places in our writing, we use transitions. So I'm going to go through an example here and highlight the transitions. We're going to look at where the comma is and how it sounds. Oops. Over 2,000 years ago, Cleopatra died, and nobody can forget her. If I look at the beginning of that sentence, I see a comma, and that's a transition. If I take that transition out, I'm left with a complete sentence. Cleopatra died and nobody can forget her. But now I know, when did she die? Over 2,000 years ago. That's a prepositional phrase. And you hear the pause. Over 2,000 years ago, Cleopatra died and nobody can forget her. She was smart, ambitious, and glitzy. Now I see a comma here. Let's say I thought that was a transition. I see a comma. If I take that comma out, I'm left with ambitious and glitzy. That's not a complete sentence. If I look at this, the subject of the sentence is she and the verb is was. So you can't use, your subject and verb can't be part of the transition. So that reason for that comma is because there's a list, listing 3 things describing her. If you're a girl, it's fun to be her on Halloween. Here we've got a transition. It's a dependent clause. You hear the pause. If you're a girl, it's fun to be her on Halloween. When you take that transition out, you're left with a complete sentence. For a while, she hung out with Julius Caesar. I see a prepositional phrase at the beginning of that sentence. If I take it out, I have a complete sentence. She hung out with Julius Caesar. When did she do that? For a while. Then she hung out with another Roman leader, Mark Antony. She hung out with another Roman leader, Mark Antony, is the complete sentence. But when I put that transition at the beginning, I know when she did that. Like Romeo and Juliet, Antony and Cleopatra were secretly married. I see a prepositional phrase at the beginning, like Romeo and Juliet. It's making a comparison. I don't need to have that in a sentence, but it adds a little bit more description. If I took it out, I still had a complete sentence and it would be fine. Together, they had a mad desire to take over the world. Together is an adverb. It's one word. I see the comma. I hear the comma. Together, they had a mad desire to take over the world. If I took that out, I still have a complete sentence. So now let's talk about these different types of transitions that we just saw examples of. So, types of transitions. You can make a bulleted list here. We're going to talk about 4 different kinds. So the first one is adverbs, and adverbs are one word. First, next, then, and actually sometimes they end in ly, quickly, happily, slowly, but adverbs are one word. The next type is a prepositional phrase, which is a preposition plus a noun, and we spent some time talking about that with no verb in there. On the right, in the corner. We can have infinitives used as transitions as well. To begin, to continue. And then dependent clauses. Dependent clauses start with a subordinating conjunction like because, or if, or although, and they do have a subject and a verb. So that's how we can separate them from prepositional phrases. After school ended. All right, so you've taken some notes on transitions. Tomorrow we're going to do some writing, and this will be a good reference page for you to use.